I have had a ton of clients ask me about this Game Changers documentary. So I wanted to throw together a quick video to kind of tell everybody what I think. So here goes. One thing about the film that I really didn't like, they did a very good job about being vague about these terms: vegan, vegetarian, and plant-based.
Plant-based athletes.
So a lot of the athletes, they talk about being plant-based. There was a few athletes that they alluded to being vegan, and there was a few athletes that said they were vegetarian.
Are you still sticking to your vegetarian diet, Mary? Very rigidly, yes.
But overall, the film had the context that that we're talking about a vegan diet here that has no animal products whatsoever. So I thought they were very vague in that, and I thought that that was very misleading, that they used this term plant-based a lot. The next thing I didn't like about the film was the fact that it was based off of this so-called study that Roman gladiators actually were bean and barley eaters, and they can test through their bones whether they...
The gladiators were predominantly vegetarian.
We have no physical proof what these Roman gladiators ate, and it likely wasn't just beans and barley. The next thing I didn't like was a little bit further in the film, it talked about blood viscosity, and it used actually the difference of eating a bean burrito with a meat burrito. Now, we don't get the macro breakdown on these three burritos. One's chicken, one's beef, one's a bean burrito. We also don't get the fat content that's with all these carbohydrates. So I want you to think in terms of the standard American diet. We're talking about high carb, high fat, and some protein. That being said, one of the burritos has no cheese. The other one has beef or chicken and cheese with it. We combine that with the flour tortilla that's in the burrito. We've got a high carb, high fat meal right here. That is the standard American diet. That is burgers and fries, pizza and beer, lasagna and garlic bread. I could go on and on here, but that is the standard American diet. That will cause inflammation, and that will cause triglycerides to raise in the blood. Triglycerides raising in the blood will cause the fogginess that was in those tubes, which is another thing. Why would your doctor tell you to fast before you come in to get your blood drawn? Because he wants accurate markers to look at your blood when he draws your blood. Never will a doctor say, come in and I want you to eat 2 hours before you come in to get your blood drawn. Why? Because you don't get accurate readings of biomarkers and inflammation with eating 2 hours before you take your blood. So the point here is that yes, you're going to get inflamed if you eat a standard American diet of high carb, high fat mixed together. The next thing is, for a detailed explanation of this cloudy blood experiment, check out Simland's video. He's got a really great video that breaks this down in a great way. So it's not even a real clinical experiment that they're showing you. They're showing you some guys eat some burritos and they tested their blood afterwards, and one's foggy and one's not. Okay, cool. Next, the next thing they did is they compared a hamburger with a bun.
The study that showed that a single hamburger impairs blood flow also showed that it can increase measures of inflammation by 70%.
They didn't tell us what kind of hamburger. They didn't tell if it was from Burger King or McDonald's, or if it was grass-fed, or if it was whatever, or what it had with it. We just know it was a hamburger and a bun, and they compared that to the inflammation that a plant-based meal causes. So obviously, again, the standard American diet, going over this, that it's inflammatory, it causes cardiovascular disease, you're mixing high carb with high fat. That is not because of protein, though. That is because of the high fat and high carbohydrate content of the meal. There's one more thing that I did not like about this film, and that is the fact that they did not talk about the inflammatory process or the inflammatory compounds found in a diet, whether it's vegan, vegetarian, or plant or animal based or carnivore, that has a lot of sugar in it. Sugar is by far the biggest devil out of all the things that we're talking about here, whether it's carbs or fat or protein or whatever. So the fact that they didn't touch on that and they didn't push that in the documentary was really a bummer for me, because I would have had way more respect for them if they were saying, hey, eat a little less meat, but also let's eat a whole lot less sugar. That's going to really be what pushes our performance, helps our recovery, helps anti-aging and longevity, prevents us from cardiovascular disease and diabetes and high blood pressure and high cholesterol and high stress. Further in the film, they talk about this group of firefighters in New York, and these men likely ate takeout daily.
After eating a meal, I didn't feel like, oh, I gotta go find a couch to sit on or lay down, like that. I actually felt energized, and I could jump on the bicycle or go on the treadmill. Or fight a fire.
They talked about they didn't eat a healthy diet, and so yes, you're going to take them and put them on a plant-based diet, and their markers are going to completely change.
Yeah. Your cholesterol was 262, right? Which is elevated, much higher than we want to be. Today, 176. Wow. Your cholesterol was 276. I mean, you know that's super elevated, right?
Yeah, they were freaking out.
They were freaking out.
At the doctor's office.
You know what? They should be freaking out now, because today was 169.
Whoa, now you're talking.
Thinking about things logically, we just want to make sure and get people to know that, yeah, you're going to take anybody who's been eating the standard American diet, and if you put them on a plant-based diet, their markers are going to dramatically improve.
After 7 days, the cholesterol average drop was 21 points. The average weight loss was 6.12 pounds. You guys, instead of having arteries that look like this here, right? You guys are on the road having arteries that look like this here.
So the next thing they did is, I didn't like how in the film they showed a lot of vegan junk food, and they didn't show a lot of really whole, good vegetables, and how you can make these things delightful and tasty and savory and sweet. But what they did show was they showed vegan fried chicken. They showed vegan mac and cheese. But they didn't really show any like really good vegetable sources. So that was just really bizarre to me, that we're going to show all the vegan junk food, but we're not going to show what predominantly a true vegan, if you're truly vegan, you should be eating the colors of the rainbow and the spectrum of all these plants. So anybody on a plant-based diet should be eating that way, because that is the healthiest way to eat. I don't care what specific trendy diet you may be on. The film highlighted, the film highlighted a lot of carbohydrates and performance aspects. So yes, we know that carbohydrates fuels performance. We know that you can get really strong without meat and with carbohydrates. You can also build a lot of muscle on carbohydrates. This has to do with IGF-1 or insulin-like growth factor, but you can also gain a lot of fat on a lot of carbohydrates because of that excess insulin. You can also get type 2 diabetes with a whole lot of insulin. This is primarily why, if you look at some of the athletes, specifically the strongman athlete, the guy's obese. I mean, let's just call it for what it is. He is, if you measured his biomarkers, he is obese. And so my point is that yes, you can fuel performance on carbohydrates. Thank you, documentary, for highlighting that for us, as if we didn't already know it. And it just makes sense to me that if we're going to eat a plant-based diet, that we would incorporate some of these rich sources in B12 in animal products. He made a claim in the film about how animals are injected with B12.
An important vitamin that everyone kept warning me you could only get from animal foods. It turns out that B12 isn't made by animals after all.
And while it's true that the bacteria produce the B12, what he fails to mention is that B12 is stored inside muscle tissue. And as this study points out, shellfish, sardines, beef, ruminant animals are excellent sources of B12 for that reason.
It's made by bacteria that these animals consume in the soil and water. Just like with protein, animals are only the middlemen. Before industrial farming, farm animals and humans could get B12 by eating traces of dirt on plant foods or by drinking water from rivers or streams. But now, because pesticides, antibiotics and chlorine kill the bacteria that produce this vitamin, even farm animals have to be given B12 supplements. And up to 39% of people tested, including meat eaters, are low in B12.
Now, I knew when I heard this that something didn't sound right, and upon doing some digging, I quickly figured out that there's multiple estimates of what the vitamin B12 deficiency is, and here's just one from the Center of Disease Control, or the CDC, and their data, and clearly it is what it is. So 39%, I still don't see, even if that was accurate, what about the other 61% of people that are B12 adequate? Why would supplementing B12 still be the best solution?
As a result, the best way for humans to get enough B12, whether they eat animal foods or not, is simply to take a supplement.
I do know that there are lots of animal products that are very rich in B12 that aren't injected into them. Sardines is an amazing B12 source. Grass-fed meat that's not injected with B12 is an amazing source of B12. So again, living a predominantly vegan plant-based diet, you do have to supplement with B12. You have to supplement with some iron. You have to supplement with vitamin D and vitamin K and a lot of these things. So to me, it just seems very balanced that we would take all aspects of these things and not try to get them just from supplements, but to try to get them from food. Lots of studies have proven that we have better bioavailability from real food sources rather than supplements. You can look that up for yourself. So there was some things that I liked about the film. Specifically, I liked that they're telling people at the very end of the film to eat less meat and maybe not to go all in at once. And I think this is a very valuable aspect of the film that I think a lot of people can really get a take home from is, yes, let's eat less meat, and the meat that we do eat, let's eat really quality grass-fed, free-range, wild-caught animal products. The other thing I liked about the film is that they showcased a lot of older athletes, and that these people are proving that it's not old age that's just like this given that, oh, well, I'm getting old.
Lou is 60 years old, not far off my father's age.
Most guys my age can keep up with the grandchildren. My grandchildren can't keep up with me.
A lot of people say that, and no, if you continue to move your body and you continue to fuel your body the right way, you can't cheat aging, but you can still live a very functional life well into your 60s, 70s, and 80s. And there's many, many people that are proving that. The thing that we can really take away from this film is that we can do really, really well with a lot less animal products, which, you know what, that frees up a lot of money to be put into grass-fed, free-range, wild-caught animal products. And then also, it helps us to eat a primarily plant-based diet, which is all the colors of the rainbow, all these antioxidants, all these vitamin C's and vitamin B's, and polyphenols and lignans and phytoestrogens and all these things that are in plant-based foods. And we can really, really benefit from those. That's the big takeaway from the film, is we can really fuel performance and worry more about micronutrients, not macronutrients. Michael Pollan wrote a great book. If you want to look it up, it's called Eat Food, Not Too Much, Mostly Plants. And I think with that, I'll sum it up by saying, here at musclesandveggies.com, we focus on balance. We focus on bio-individuality, the foods that work best with the individual. You can run a simple allergy test, an IgG food allergy test. It's $219. It will tell you exactly what foods are causing an immune response in you. And that doesn't mean that you're a lifelong allergic to that food. That just means that we need to work on aspects of gut health and aspects of the body to help alleviate and get the immune system to calm down, and that way you can tolerate more food. So if you have any questions about food allergy testing, please comment below or shoot me an email. I'd be glad to help you with that and get the test sent to you. But yeah, I think that closes it up really well. Stay tuned for more from me, Zach, with musclesandveggies.com.